So I've told you what maternity services currently looks like, but let's ask the art of the possible and the what if question, because I think this is the part that gives us some hope that things can change. And what if we learn from the units with the best staffing ratios, so staff to patient ratios across the country? What if we took the figure of 1 midwife to 6 families with a maternity support worker? Across a 12-hour shift, excluding the handover time, that would equate to 3.5 hours of care per shift per family that is provided between both a midwife and a maternity support worker, if we enforced ratios of 1 midwife to 6 families with the support of a maternity support worker in a postnatal ward. So we come in at 7 o'clock, we hand over for half an hour, we take handover for all of our patients. We start with our plans of care for the day, so we spend the next 15 minutes making our plans of care for the day and deciding who's going to go into who. Then we split ourselves in half and we go and introduce ourselves to 3 families each. Find out what they need, we tell them what their care plans are. With each family, infant feeding support is given as a priority. And that infant feeding support is a proper feeding assessment with thorough support so that those who want to breastfeed are able to breastfeed, and those who are formula feeding and bottle feeding have all the information around formula feeding, protecting tummy size, making up feeds, you name it. The midwife starts with those who are wanting to go home for the day. She spends an hour with them doing a thorough postnatal check and a thorough check on baby as well, discussing all the questions, all the queries that they may have before they go home. The maternity support worker starts to do all the baby observation and is taking control of all the baby observations for the day, reporting back to the midwife as and when there are any concerns with the babies and letting her know what the results were of all of the baby observations. Any blood spots, any weights, any day 5 checks, anything along those lines, the maternity support worker is doing and reporting back to the midwife. And each family throughout that shift, throughout that day, has the care requirements that they need, because there is enough care hours in the day to meet the care needs. And what we need to start looking at is if we start mandating safe staffing levels across all maternity units, learning from the best, learning from the ones that have already got this implemented and already in place, what will start to happen is women will start to feel heard and listened to. They won't feel rushed, they won't feel pushed out the door necessarily. And how this can happen is by funding from central government as part of the maternity review with a standard staffing template report that is put out. Chucking money from a maternity review at trust to say, we're going to give you, £20 million for all trusts, for example, but you have to use it on staffing. Well, how do you evidence that you are using that on staffing if you haven't got a safe standards of staffing template or framework to work from? What trust will do is they'll absorb that money and say, yeah, we did use it on staffing, but they've used it on their existing workforce models and not what they should be doing moving forward. And this is why chucking money at healthcare doesn't always work, not without the outcome measures, the process measures, and the outcome indicators that you need. When you put money into something, it needs to be almost like a mini project in itself. So you put the money in somewhere, and what you start doing is you say, I want to look at your staff survey results, I want to look at your retention of midwives and how reducing the number of patients per midwife has had an impact on mental well-being for your staff, on stress levels, on burnout, on the NMC register, people coming off of that, for example. You also need to start looking at what do you staff your wards at on a day-to-day basis? What do your acuity figures look like if you do use acuity apps? Are you more in the green now, for example? What are your red flag events? So how many inductions are delayed or stopped because you don't have the staffing model in place right now? And by looking at all of that and putting money specifically with outcome measures in place and expectations set from the outset, using staffing model templates, things can start to improve. If you haven't already completed it, please complete the maternity review. It's out there. Please go and feedback now. Please write to your MPs asking for safer staffing on maternity wards so that women, people, families are heard, they are listened to, they are cared for adequately. They have the number of care hours that are available to meet their needs. And if you haven't already signed it, go and sign Leah Hazard's petition for safer working conditions for midwives. Midwives' working conditions are women and people and families' birthing conditions, pregnancy experience and postnatal experience that has long-lasting impacts for a long, long time for all of these people.